So today's video is another video in the Halloween Kawaii Keyring series, and today we are moving on to making the cauldron, who has been so requested by so many of you, and I thank you for that because I think he's so cute as well, and I couldn't wait to recreate him for you for this video. So what will we need? We will need some toy stuffing. We will need two 6mm safety eyes. We will need a 2.5mm crochet hook, a darning needle, some scissors, a keyring if you are going to turn your toy into a keyring, and we will need two different colour threads, a black and some pink. If you've watched my other videos, you will know that I can't tell you the exact shades of the black and the pink because these are over 100 years old, as they belong to my grandma. But it doesn't matter exactly what colours anything you use is, because this is a yarn buster project. It's very small, so it's made to be a quick project that's completed in 30 minutes to an hour, that uses up all of the stash of wool that you've got if you've just got a little bit left. So you won't need too much of them. We also need 3 different colour yarns for this project, and you'll see them on screen now. You will need a green, a black and a grey. I am using a mix of different brands this time round. My grey and my black are King Cole Cottonsoft, which is my favourite DK cotton yarn to work with. And that's because, like the brand says, Cottonsoft, it's really, really soft, which means it's less, now you'll understand this once you start crocheting, it's less squeaky. It's a softer yarn and easier to crochet with. And then my green, which is my Rico Ricorumi yarn, this is a lot firmer and is more squeaky. Trust me, once you start crocheting, you'll know what I mean. So those are the yarns you need. I don't know where that came from. This is all the items you'll need to make your keyring. Now, you know from the start of the video, from the thumbnail, that you can also use this pattern to make a plushie. So I'll show you the plushie now. So this is the plushie. How cute is he? I really enjoyed making this one and turning this little keyring into a plushie. So I'm just showing you now, just to say that you can also use this pattern to make the plushie. So you would need grey plush yarn, black plush yarn, green plush yarn, and then everything, and pink plush yarn for the blush. But everything else is the same. So we're using the black cotton DK yarn for the smile instead of the thread. I've used 14mm safety eyes, but it works in pretty much the same way of putting it together. There are a few differences between the plush and the keyring this time round with regards to how many rows you do. For some reason mine is quite tall, but he's still quite cute, right? So I will say when to stop for the instructions for the plush with the height, because he needs to be, do you see what I mean? He just needs to be a bit shorter in my opinion, but that's fine. I can do that in the video. I can tell you when to stop. So I guess let's just move on with making our keyring, and we're starting off with our grey DK yarn and our 2.5mm hook. So if you've made the other 2 keyrings already, the first 5 rounds of this project are exactly the same as the pumpkin. We're starting off with a magic ring. As I've said in the other 2 videos, sadly I'm right-handed. I can't show you how to do this left-handed, but hopefully you can follow along well enough if you are left-handed. So you want to get the end of your yarn and drape it over your left hand. You will then pinch with your thumb to hold that yarn down, and we're just using our 2 fingers for this. You want to bring the yarn down the back and then over the front, so it looks like so, and then turn your hand towards you, and we're going to make a cross, like so. We're then going to pick up our ring finger, so it was below the yarn, we're going to pick it up and move it over the top, So that one secures it in place, and we've now got a free hand. Here's where you can pick up your hook. We want to face the hook downwards. Can you see my hook there? That's it facing upwards. We want to face it downwards. So we're going under the top right of our cross, and we want to move on top. Can you see that one? We want to get it so it's resting on top of the top left of the cross, and we're just going to pull and drag it through to the other side, like so. We're now going to turn our hook towards us, just like that, and it will look like that on your hook. We want to now pick up the new top left of our cross. So we're going to go under, pick that one up, and pull it through the loop that's already on our hook, and we've now finished our magic ring. So you can remove your fingers from your yarn, and you will see that you've got a slight twist here with this end of your yarn. So you can remove that from the circle to untwist it, and you've finished and completed your magic ring. So we now need to do 6 single crochets into the magic ring. If you use UK terms to crochet, that is 6 double crochets. Now they are both exactly the same stitch, and throughout this video I will have the US and UK terms up in the top left, so everyone is able to use this video. So we're taking our hook through our ring and picking up our yarn, so we have got 2 loops on our hook. We then want to yarn over and pull that yarn through both loops, and we've done 1. Back into the circle, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both. We've done 2, and we need to do 6. So there's 3, 4, 5, and 6. Once you've done 6, we need to close this circle. To close it, we're going to pull on that short end of yarn that we've got. Do it slowly, otherwise everything will curl up. So just keep pulling until that circle is closed. It doesn't matter if you've still got a small hole in the middle, because we can just keep tugging on this one throughout our project to close it, so it doesn't matter too much. Let's move on to round 2. So for round 2, we need to do an increase stitch, and that means increasing the amount of stitches that we currently have. At the moment we've got 6 stitches, and we want to do an increase in every stitch, so that we've got 12 stitches by the end of this round. So to do an increase, we're just doing 2 stitches in every stitch, and we will have, as I said, 12 stitches by the end of this round. This is our first stitch just here. You've got like a V. Can you see the V's going around? You want to go into the first one away from your hook. So we're going in the first. We're then yarning under as we're doing amigurumi, and it makes the holes in our project smaller. So rather than yarn over and pulling up a loop, we're yarning under this time. Once you've pulled up that loop, you then want to yarn over and pull through both, and we've done 1 into that stitch. We're now going into the same stitch to do our increase, so back in through, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through, and you've done your first increase with 2 stitches into the same stitch. Now into our second stitch with 2 stitches into that one, so going through, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both. Into the same stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both. We've done 4 stitches so far. Into the next, yarn under, yarn over, pull through, that's 5. Into the same stitch, yarn under, yarn over, pull through both, there's 6. I'm just going to go all the way to the end of the row. There's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, and we have finished round 2. So we have currently got 12 stitches, and by the end of round 3 we will have 18 stitches. So for this round we want to do 1 stitch into the first stitch, and then 2 stitches or an increase into the next, and repeat that going round. So it's 1 stitch, 2 stitches, 1 stitch, 2 stitches, and by the end of this round we will have 18 in total. So there's 1 stitch in the first, so go in through, yarn under and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both, we've done 1, 2 in the next, into the next stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both, there's 2, and now 1 into the same stitch. We've done 3, a single into the next, and 2 into the next, 5 and 6, a single into the next, 7, 2 in the next, 8 and 9, a single into the next, 10, 2 in the next, 11 and 12, a single in the next, 13, 2 in the next, 14, 15, a single in the next, 16, 2 in the next, 17 and 18, and that's the end of round 3. So we've now got 18 stitches, and this is round 4, and it's a bit different to the other ones we've done already and a bit more difficult to keep track of the stitches, but hopefully you can follow along with me, and I'll go quite slow so hopefully you can keep up. We're going to start off with 1 stitch in the first and 2 stitches into the next, so a single and then an increase. By the end of this round we will have 24 stitches. So we're doing a single, that's number 1, and then 2 in the next, 2 and 3. We're now going to do a single, then a single, then an increase, then a single, then a single, then an increase, going all of the way around until we've just got 1 stitch left. So we've done 3. We now need to do 2 singles. So 1 in the next, there's 4, and now our second single into the next stitch, there's 5, and now our increase into the next stitch. So 2 in this one, there's number 6, and into the same stitch, there's number 7, 2 singles into the next stitch, number 8, and a single into the next, there's 9, 2 in the next, number 10, and into the same stitch, 11, 2 singles, 12 and 13, 2 in the next, 14 and 15, 2 singles, 16 and 17, 2 in the next, 18 and 19, 2 singles, 20 and in the next, 21, 2 in the next, 22 and 23, and then there's just 1 single stitch left in the next to make it up to 24, and that's the end of round 4. So we've currently got 24 stitches and we want 28 stitches. So round 5, we're going to do 5 single stitches and then an increase in the next, and we're going to do that 4 times. So 5 singles into the first stitch, there's 1 into the next, 2 into the next, 3 into the next, 4 into the next, 5. We now need to do an increase into the next stitch, so there's 2 going into the next. So into the next stitch, number 6, and another one into the same stitch, there's 7. 5 singles, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12, 2 in the next, 13 and 14, so 5 singles, 15, 16, 17, 18 and 19, 2 in the next, 20, 21, 5 singles, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 and 2 in the next, 27 and 28, and that is the end of round 5. So for round 6, we've got 28 stitches and we need to stick with 28 stitches. So we're just going to do 1 stitch in every stitch going all the way around. So this is for round 6. But round 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12 are all exactly the same. So I am going to do round 6 with you, just to show you how to do it. I will then do round 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 off of camera, and I will come back and catch up with you for round 12. So to show you how to do this, we're just going to do 1 stitch in every stitch, as I said, and we need to count to 28. So into the first, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 and 28. So it's that simple for round 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. You're just going to go all the way around with a single stitch in every stitch. So if you go ahead and do round 6 to 11 now, just repeating that, I will catch up with you for round 12. So this is what my project looks like now that I have finished round 11. And like I said before, round 12 is exactly the same. So I'll just go through that one really quickly, but still doing it with you. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 and 28. So what we want to do is we want to leave our grey yarn attached, but we're not using it for the next round. So what you want to do is pull on your hook just to make that loop really big so we're not going to lose our place. And now we need to add on the eyes. So we're now going to add the eyes. I've got my previously completed one on the screen just there, just so you can kind of follow along and hopefully see where they're going to go, but hopefully I can explain it as best as I can as well. So I'll just focus in on the project we're currently doing. So you want to make sure that the back is at the back, and the back is where we've left that big loop. So make sure that one's in the middle, and this is the front of our project. So we want our eyes to go in between rounds 8 and 9. We know that this block of stitches, each square there is a stitch, and you can see the separate lines for each row that we've done. Our last one was row 12. This is row 11, row 10, row 9 and row 8. So we want our eyes to go in here along this line between this block of stitches and between this block of stitches below. So I would say my central stitch is around here, and we want 6 stitches in between our eyes. So if we move 3 to the right, 1, 2 and 3, our first eye is going to go in through there. So I'll just show you that again with a thinner needle. This is our centre, and we're going to go 3 squares to the right. So 1, 2 and 3, and our eye will go in at that point there. So pick up your eye and just push it through. And then we're going to do exactly the same thing. So that one is in here. We want to go 6 to the left. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and our next eye would go into this hole here. Once you've got your eyes through, you want to turn that one practically inside out. You don't have to go all the way, and then you can put your backs on. Now this is the tricky bit. Just put a back over. And just press it on. It just requires a bit of force. So there's one. And our next. There's number 2. So So now we can go on to making our top for our cauldron. So we need to use our green yarn. So round 1 of the top, and actually rounds 1, 2, 3 and 4 of the top that we're going to do is exactly the same as round 1, 2, 3 and 4 of the grey for the cauldron that we did. So we're starting off with a magic ring. So you want to get the end of your yarn and drapes it over your fingers and pinch with your thumb over your index finger and your middle finger. We then bring the yarn down the back of those fingers, up over the front, and then turn our hand and we make a cross with the yarn. Lift up your ring finger and hold down that yarn so you've got a free hand. Pick up your hook. Face your hook downwards and go under the top right. Put it over the top of the top left and pull to drag it across. Turn your hook so it faces you and you've got a loop like that over your hook. And now pick up your new top left and pull it through the loop that's already on your hook. There's your magic ring done. Take your fingers out, pull out that end of your yarn from your circle, and now we're going to do 6 single crochets into our magic ring. So in the ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through both loops. We've done 1 in the ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. There's 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. We now want to pull on that end of our yarn to close our circle. Remember to do it slowly so your work doesn't tangle up. And there's the end of round 1 of your top. So for round 2 of the top, just as we did for the grey cauldron, we've got 6 stitches currently and we want 12 by the end of this round. So we need to do 2 stitches in every stitch, or an increase in every stitch. So turn your work so you can see your first V. We're going to go in through, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through both. We've done 1 into the same stitch, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both, and we've done 2. Into our next stitch we want to do 2, so there's 3 and 4. Into our next stitch, 5 and 6. Into our next stitch, 7 and 8. Into our next stitch, 9 and 10, and into our next stitch 2 more, 11 and 12, and that is the end of round 2. So we've currently got 12 stitches and we need 18 by the end of round 3. So we're going to do a single and then an increase, a single, then an increase, all of the way around until we've got 18 stitches. So it's 1 in the next, 2 in the one after, 1 in the next, 2 in the one after. So a single in the first, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both, there's 1, 2 in the next, 2 and 3, 1 in the next, 4 and 2 in the next, 5 into the same, 6, 1 in the next, 7, 2 in the next, 8 and 9, 1 in the next, 10, 2 in the next, 11 and 12, 1 in the next, 13, 2 in the next, 14 and 15, 1 in the next, 16, 2 in the next, 17 and 18, and you've completed round 3. So round 4, just like for the grey cauldron, to begin with, it's a single and then an increase. We've currently got 18 stitches. We want 24 by the end of this round. So it's 1 in the first stitch and 2 or an increase into the next. So there's stitch number 2 and 1 more into that same stitch. There's 3. For the rest of the way around, we're doing 2 singles, then an increase, 2 singles, then an increase. So we've currently done 3 stitches and we want to do 2 singles. So there's 4, 1 more in the next stitch, 5, and now 2 in the next, 6 and 7. 2 singles, 8 and 9, 2 in the next, 10 and 11, 2 singles, 12 and 13, 2 in the next, 14 and 15, 2 singles, 16, 17, 2 in the next, 18, 19, 2 singles, 20, 21, 2 in the next, 22, 23 and 1 in the next to finish the round off, 24. One more round, just like the cauldron. We're going to do 5 singles, 2 in the next, 5 singles, 2 in the next, and you'll have 28 stitches by the end of the round. So 5 singles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 in the next, 6 and 7, 5 singles, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12, 2 in the next, 13 and 14, 5 singles, 15, 16, 17, 18 and 19, 2 in the next, 20, 21, 5 singles, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 and 2 in the next, 27 and 28. So there is the end of round 5 of your top, and we're now going to join it to our cauldron. So for attaching the top, It's possibly the most tricky part of the whole project, and that is purely because we are attaching two pieces of crochet together, but we've got yarn attached to this piece and yarn attached to our other piece, so sometimes it can get a bit confusing, but hopefully I can walk you through it. So if you didn't know, our stitches have front and back loops. So if you see that stitch there, the line facing us is our front loop, and the line towards the back is classed as the back loop. Now for the next round, we're working into both loops with the green, but in the grey we're going to be using the front loops only, and I'll show you how to do that now. So we would go into the next stitch and pick up both, so we've got that V over our hook. We're then going to pick up our cauldron. Remember, this is the back and we want that at the back. We're not going to go into that first stitch because our yarn is coming out of it, and that can make it even more tricky. So we're going to go into the one beside it to begin with, and we just want to pick up the front loop of the grey. So I'm going into this stitch here, and I'm just picking up that one loop of the grey. We're going to do a slip stitch, so we're just going to go around our hook, and then we're going to pull that yarn through all of those loops. So into the next, we're picking up both of the green and just the front loop of the grey. Yarn over and pull through all the loops. Both loops of the green, front loop of the grey. Yarn over, pull through all the loops. Into your next stitch, both loops of the green, front loop of the grey, pull through all of your loops. So we've done 4 so far. If you want to carry on going around until you get to stitch 20, that's when we need to fill our cauldron. So I'll continue to do the rest of those off camera and stop when you get to number 20. So I've done my 20 slip stitches, and I've just pulled on that green just to create a large loop so we don't lose it. And we're now going to stuff our pumpkin. So that end of green can be tucked inside. And now we can pick up our stuffing. So I've just got a small amount, and we don't want to stuff it too much because we want our cauldron to create the perfect shape. We don't want it to be too rounded on top. We don't want it to be too rounded on the base. So there we go. I'm pretty much flat on the top. I've still got a slightly rounded base, but not too much. So that looks like the perfect amount. We can now tug on our green end and put that one back on our hook. And so we had 20 slip stitches, and we've obviously got 28 stitches, so we've got 8 more to finish. So continuing with the same, it's through the front and back loop of the green and just the back loop of the grey, and do a slip stitch. So there's 21. Into the next, 22, 23, 24. Just keep pushing in that stuffing if you need to make sure it's out of your way. 25, 26, 27, and now for our final one. We're going in through the front and back of the green, and the grey is that one that's sticking out that you've got your yarn coming out of, your long loop coming out of, I should say. So we just want the front loop of that one. You can now fasten off your green because we've finished with it. So I'm going to yarn over and pull it through the loop that's on my hook. And pull that one as tight as I can. I'm going to put my green on my darning needle. If you've got a really long end still attached, you only need about 10 centimeters tops. So thread your needle. And then I'm going to go in through this hole just here on the side and then out through the base. And we will tie that end off later. So now we can move on to crocheting the rim of our cauldron. So for the rim, we're using the grey. So you can pull on your end to make your loop smaller again. And put that one back on your hook. Now, if you look at the side of your cauldron, you can see there, you've got a line of grey, you've got a line of green, and then here you've got a line of grey again. Now that line going all the way around, where we worked into just the front loops of the grey on the last round, these are the back loops that we left available, and we're going to be working into just these for the next round. So I'm going to pick up my first loop, which is just here, yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both, because we're going back to doing the single crochet US terms or the double crochet UK terms. Into the next, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both. And it's just going all the way around doing these, and we've got 28 stitches. So we've done 2. There's 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to continue going all the way around off camera, and I will meet you back at the end of the round at stitch 28. So I've gone all the way around. I've done 27 stitches so far, and we've just got one more to go. So it's this loop just here, and do one more single crochet. We're now going to finish off this round with a slip stitch into our first stitch. So you can see that first V just there. We're going to go through both loops, pull up a loop and pull it through the loop that is on our hook. And now we can fasten off the grey, and we're going to do something called a needle join. So put down your work. Again, you don't need a lot, maybe 10 to 15 centimetres. And we are going to wrap our yarn over our hook and pull it through the loop, and we fasten that one off. Now the reason we need to do a needle join is, as you can see, this side is slightly higher than this side, and we need to make them even. So I'm going to put that grey on my darning needle, and what we're going to do, our yarn is currently coming out through this stitch just here. You want to pick up the V or the 2 loops of the next stitch and pull your yarn all the way through. We're then going to go back through the V on the other side, so it would be the last stitch of the last round, and pull that one through. Sorry, I just knocked my camera. And you'll see now that there is a fairly straight line going over the top. So with this end, we can go back in through and out through the bottom and take our yarn off of our needle, and we can now tie these ends. I like to knot them 3 times. There's 1, 2 and 3. Snip them so you've got less than a centimetre left, And I now use the end of my darning needle just to push those ends in through and hide them. And this is what our cauldron currently looks like, and we're now going to go on to making the handles. So for the handles we're using a black yarn, and we need to make a slip knot. So how I do this is I put the yarn over my middle finger, pinch down with my index finger and twist to create a cross. I'm then going to put my index finger and my middle finger through the loop and pick up the long end of the yarn and pull it through, and it creates that slip knot. And now you can just pull both sides just to make that loop smaller, and we'll put that one on our hook. We're now going to chain 9. I'm aware that I'm using black yarn, which is notoriously difficult to see when you're crocheting it yourself, let alone on camera. So I will try my best for you here. And it's a really, really small piece of work that we're doing now. So hopefully you can just bear with me just for this portion. So you want to move your yarn around the back of your hook and just pull it through the loop, and you've done 1 chain. Around the back, pull through, there's 2, and we want 9. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So we've got 9 chains, and we're going to be slip stitching 8 times across this line. So you will not, it's so difficult to see, you'll not go into your first V away from your hook, you'll go into the one after. So we're going in through, pulling up a loop and pulling it through the loop that's on our hook, and we've done 1. Into the next, pull up a loop, pull it through, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that is your handle complete. So we now need to cut the yarn, and we need to leave enough for sewing. So I always make sure I've got at least 25 centimetres this time round. I'm then going to fasten it off, wrap it over my hook and pull it through the loop. And so that one's fixed in place. I'm now going to repeat this and make another handle. So go back to the start of the handle description and make another. So now we're going to attach our handles to our cauldron. But as you can see at the moment, both ends are coming out of one side. So we want to make it so one of the ends comes at the opposite end of our handle. So we're then able to sew both sides onto the cauldron. So I'm going to take my longer end and put it through my needle, and then pick up my handle. And here's where you need to work out where the front is and where the back is. And I know it's really difficult to see because it's black. So that's the back and that's the front. Technically, your 2 ends will be coming out of the left-hand side, and that is the front. So you want to turn it over so both ends are coming out of the right-hand side. And then I'm just going to thread this end up through the back. It doesn't matter how this looks. I'm just going to go up through a couple of stitches just so that it comes out at the other end of the handle. And then I'm now coming out through the end. And now we've got an end at every end, if that makes sense. But remember that that bit was the back. So you now want to turn it over so the front shows on the right side. So basically it's going to bend like that and go in through here. So where do we place our handle to begin with? You've got your front of your cauldron. And you should have one square at the top that's quite central. And we're going to go 5 to the right. So you've got your square here. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And this is where you'll go in through. You're going to go in through and then out at a point that's fairly close by. We're not using the whole stitch. And then you can just pull that one through. And then we're going to go back in through the base of our handle again. And then back in through the cauldron, through that stitch that we just did. And just give that one a tug now and see if you're happy with how secure that is and how that looks. If you are, then go in through your cauldron and out through the base and take your needle off of that one, and it's now time to do the other side. So thread that one on through your needle. And then just the same as before, but remember to bend that one in the right way so you've got the front at the front. So we're going to go 3 stitches to the left to put in the other side. So this one goes in just here, and then we want to go 1, 2 and 3. So we're going in through this one and just pulling up thread of the grey yarn. You don't want to go through a whole stitch. And again through the base of the handle. And pull that one tight. Back in through your cauldron. And just the same process really. Once you're happy with how that one looks, you can go back in through your cauldron and out through your base. And you can now tie off those ends, push them into the base of your cauldron, and then repeat the process for the other handle onto the other side of your cauldron. So your cauldron should now look like this. And now we're going to move on to adding the details to the top of our potion. So I've threaded my needle with about 40 centimetres worth of yarn. And we're going to go up through the base of our cauldron, and I will just put my finished one on screen just so you can see the details that we're going to be doing. And you can see all these slight raised circles. Now they are French knots, and that's what we're going to be doing next. So I'm going to leave it on camera. I know it won't focus as well once I bring this one back on, but you can see roughly with that one whereabouts you want the knots to go. But this is completely up to you how much you do. You don't even have to do them at all if you don't want to. So going back onto this one, I'm going to come up through the top of my cauldron. Remember to leave a long enough tail in the bottom so that you can knot them and push them in through the base at the end. So for a French knot, you want to hold your needle and wrap your yarn around it twice. We're then going to put the needle not in through the same hole that our yarn's coming out of. It has to be a hole close by. So I'm going to go in through here, and then I'm going to come out through somewhere else where I'll do my next French knot. And then I'm just going to pull my needle through to the other side. And there we go, we've got one French knot. I'm going to do another one here. So again, this time I think I'm going to do a bigger knot. So I'm going to wrap my yarn around my needle 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. And then in through a hole close by, but not the same. And make note of where you're coming out of for your next one. And you can now pull through slowly until you get that knot on top. I'm going to keep doing the French knots until my cauldron looks similar to the last one that I've made, and then I'll show you where to go from there. So I've done 4 French knots, and I feel that's about the right amount for what I need. And then I'm just going to sew a few lines just to fill in the gaps between those French knots. So it doesn't have to be exactly the same as mine. Just do like a small dash here and there. And like I said, it doesn't matter how long the lines are or even where they go. So I think I'm just going to do one more, and once you're on your last one, you want your yarn to finish off coming up through the middle of your cauldron, because we're going to attach our keyring. So that's how mine looks on the top. Now let's attach our keyring. So like I just showed you, your yarn's coming out through the centre point of your cauldron, and your needle is still threaded with the other end. So you've got your keyring, we're going in through the last loop. And just like we've done for the last 2 keyrings, I don't know if you've been making those along with me, but we're going to make sure we've got our eyes at the front and we're central. And then we're going over that part of the stitch of the green, and then back up through the centre and back up through the last loop of your keyring, and we're going to do that 4 times. So there's 1, 2, 3, and now for our 4th, we're going to go in through the green and then out through the base of our cauldron. So it should look like this on top, and now you just need to knot your ends, tie them off, and to push them in through your base. And we need to now use our black embroidery thread to make the smile. So for our smile, we are using our 2 central stitches between our eyes. So it's going to be using the middle line between those eyes, and it will be between this stitch here and this stitch here. So essentially you want to go in through this point and up through that one, and it's exactly in the same line as the eyes. So we're going to pull through and leave a long enough tail so that you can thread that one through afterwards. From here you want to go back in through the same hole that we just went in through. We're then going to come out through, if you can see this square here, we're going to the top right of it and we're coming out the bottom left. So in through that one, out through that one. So I'll just pull that one through. Now, as you can see, you've got your smile forming here, and you want to pull it until it's about the size that you want it. I think mine's just about right now. And then the hole that we just went in through, you want to go back in through that one and then out through the base. So back in through and out the base. Don't pull too tight, otherwise you will adjust the size of that smile. It can quite often with the smile end up looking V-shaped, so like a line down and a line up. We don't want it to look like that. We want it to look like a smile. So it's got to be curved. Get your needle under those edges and keep readjusting until you're happy with it. You then need to thread this end on your needle, go back in through the same hole and out through the base, and then tie off those ends as well. And now for our final step, which is our blush. So we're going in through the base. I've got my pink thread on my needle. We're going up through the base, and we want to come out through one of the stitches that is close to the right eye. I'm going through this one. So pull through, make sure you leave a long enough tail at the base so you can tie that one off later. And you can see that we've come out to the left of this stitch just here. We're going to go to the top right of it now and back out through the top left again where the thread is coming out of. So just pull that one gently. You don't want it too tight, and you can see that we've got a line. Now I like to repeat that 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now you want to take your needle, go back in through this hole that you're coming out of, and then you want to go over to the other side and make sure that you come out through the same place so that it's symmetrical. And we're then going to repeat that. So do your 4 loops over that stitch. You then want to go out through the base, tie off your ends, and then our project will be finished. And there you have it. There is your finished cauldron completed. Just show you the base and the top. So I hope you've enjoyed making this project. I certainly have. I think the cauldron is probably the cutest out of all of them. And I've had so many comments asking me to make this one next. So it's nice to get around to finally doing this one. I'd say it's probably the most complicated out of all the key rings though. So if you've managed to get through this one, don't worry. You will get through all of the rest of them quite easily. Just remember, if you have followed along with this project, please leave it a like as it helps me out so much. If you need any help at all in any way, just leave a comment and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And if you want to subscribe, hit the subscribe button and then also click the bell. If you click the bell, you will get a notification for when the next video is posted. And of course, with these being a 5-part Halloween keyring series, you don't want to miss the next video because you need to collect them all. So that one has been the cauldron. Remember, we've already done the ghost and we've already done the pumpkin. So we've got the candy corn and we've got the skull to go. So leave a comment below of which one you want me to do next. We've got 2 to go. Do you want to do the candy corn or do you want to do the skull? I will just say that I am going away on holiday next week. I know I promised this to be a 5-part series, over 5 weeks. I am working my socks off to get these videos to you as soon as I can. Obviously, I don't want to be working when I'm away on holiday, so it might just be that we take a week's break with the key rings, but then I will be back as soon as I'm back. And I will also make sure to post updates to my Facebook group, Crochet with Jerri, and I will post updates on here. So you need to make sure that you subscribe if you want to know about the next pattern, because then you will see my post for when the next one will be released. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I do manage to get them all done in time. Basically do 2 or 3 weeks worth of work in 1 week so that you get them all as you should. So, one last thing to say, and this is something that I mentioned in my videos for my Disney crochet projects. I have created a Facebook group, and this will be a really lovely community with no strict rules. You can post pretty much what you want in there. And I just want to have a nice place where everyone can come to. They can talk about my patterns. You can even talk about other people's patterns. I'm not fussed. Share your projects. Let me know what you're making. And it will just be a nice place where everyone can have a chat and have a nice, safe community where you can chat, enjoy your hobby, and you can also ask any questions, because I'm not around all of the time, as you know. I know that so many people across the world watch these videos, and there's different time zones. So if we can build this group up to be as big as possible, then if you have an issue, you can post in the group. And hopefully other people that have made the pattern before will then be able to help you out if I'm currently asleep, if that makes sense. So I will tag the group in the description for this video, just down below, just here. And also, when you finish making your key rings, make sure to post them on Instagram to use the hashtag CWJ, which is Crochet with Jerri, and then put Cauldron Keyring. I'll put that hashtag up on the screen now. So post it to Insta, and if you do, I will comment like on every post, so it won't just boost my engagement on Instagram, it will boost yours too, so make sure that you do that. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And if you enjoyed this video, you might also enjoy this one just here.